Welcome to another Marketer's Edge interview. My name is Mark Snyder. I'm founder and CEO of RSW Agency Search. We're a no-cost way for marketers to find best-in-class agencies of any type or size. You can find out more about us at rswas.com. Today we're talking with Peter Colombatto, the Assistant Vice President of Marketing at Lindenwood University, based in the greater St. Louis area. Peter, thanks so much for joining us today. How have you been?
Thanks. Really good. I appreciate it. Busy, but good. So I appreciate
I'm
you having me
sure.
here.
I'm sure you have been. Now, really thrilled to have you here today. And you and I had a good conversation earlier in the week, and really, was looking forward to our conversation today. So, thanks for
Likewise.
carving out some time. I've got a small handful of questions for you, but before we do that, can you tell me a little bit about Lindenwood University? What you do for the university? I'd like our audience to know what kind of organization it is and what you do for them.
Yeah, of course. So Lindenwood University is a dynamic students first university in St. Charles, Missouri, just outside of St. Louis. We are one of the most affordable private universities in the St. Louis region. That's something that we're really proud of and is, part of our value proposition and a key differentiator for us. College should be accessible and affordable for everybody, and especially a private education. So that's something that we're really proud of. When I talk about being students first, what I mean by that is we try to keep that at the heart of everything we do. And so you're probably thinking, college and university, that should be a given. And in general, it is. But, people get, up in their, really distracted by their business operations, and it can really kind of take you away from that core mission. So we try to keep that the center of everything we do. We've been serving the St. Louis metro area for almost 200 years, founded in 1832. And that's something we're really proud of. We have over 7,000 students, over 65,000 alumni, 30,000 of which still live in the St. Louis metro, which is a big differentiator for us in supporting our students in their post-graduation careers. We're an NCAA Division I school, home of the Lindenwood Lions. We have a dynamic on-campus experience, very vibrant, and we also offer online programs for working adults all around the country. So I'm our Assistant Vice President for Marketing. I lead our marketing mission for the university. We're a centralized marketing office, so we support the entire university. We have an integrated marketing team, a creative team, and a web team. And our primary focus is building brand awareness and affinity, driving new enrollment through lead generation and nurturing. And that's something that we really get to enjoy doing for Lindenwood University.
That's great. That's great. Thanks for that background. And kind of looking at your personal background. You went to Lindenwood for undergraduate and graduate school, and now you've worked promoting the value of Lindenwood for the past 10 years. You obviously must really like the university. I'm curious if from a student perspective, what makes it so great? Why have you done what you've done?
So when I was an undergraduate student, we had a slogan, which was LU for life. And to your point, that really turned out to be true for me. So I wasn't originally going to Lindenwood. It was spring of 2004 of my senior year of high school. I was enrolled at another local university, similar in size and scope, liberal arts college. And I was feeling really, really restricted. I wanted to pursue pretty different areas of study. I wanted to pursue theater. That was something I really enjoyed doing in high school, something I was passionate about. But I also really wanted to have a business degree, understanding the way the world works and what I might want to do with my future career. I couldn't do it at the college I was going to go to. I also just didn't feel like they really wanted me. I just felt like another student. And so Lindenwood University came to my high school and gave us an incredible talk. They had faculty come in that actually worked with our classes to give us kind of a taste of what college was like. And they wanted us. And so that really spoke to me. So, I thought, I had my housing assignment, I had everything. And so I reached out to Lindenwood and had a great conversation with them. They're like, oh, you want to pursue both these areas? That's great. You can also pursue a third area, arts management, and bridge those two disciplines together. And so that was what really piqued my interest about Lindenwood was the personalization. And that's something that we really still strive to do today for every student. because that's what your college experience is about. It's what you want your number one, your experience to be, but number two, how you're going to use that as a launch pad for your life and your career.
Right.
Now, for me, it helped that my wife and I started dating at Lindenwood University. And so I've got just a lot of warm, fuzzy feelings about
There
the
you go.
university. I had a really positive, transformative experience. I left, I graduated in 2010. I worked for Momentum Worldwide marketing agency for several months. Opportunity opened up for me to go back to Lindenwood to get a graduate degree and be a graduate assistant. And I've been here ever since.
That's awesome. Great story. I met my wife at college as well. So there you go. Just not Lindenwood. So obviously the EDU market is in a tough spot right now. Small private institutions are getting squeezed as fewer students are choosing the college route. Costs continue to increase, making it difficult, if you want to go to college. And so tell me, how has Lindenwood fared? And if things are going relatively well, can you share some of the secret sauce? What have you been doing from a marketing, operational standpoint to avoid or address, some of these challenges head on?
Yeah, absolutely. So Lindenwood certainly has not been immune to what we call the decade of disruption. The last 10 years or so, where we've dealt with demographic changes, population decline, and really importantly, the changing perceived value of a college degree, of higher
Sure.
education.
Yep.
And those are issues that are going to continue to intensify. What we call the enrollment cliff really kicks in next year. And that's rooted in the Great Recession in 2007, 2008. People started having less kids, and that never really came back. And so there's just less students.
Hmm.
So that said, Lindenwood has had 2 years of record freshman class growth in 2022 and 2023. Last year, we had our first total student population growth in 10 years. And over the last year and a half, we've pivoted our focus to include a heavy focus on adult learners. There are over 40 million adult Americans who have some college education but no degree. Now, a small amount of those go back to finish their degree.
Hmm.
We want to make that easier. It's about finishing what you started. It's about changing your career, advancing in your career, insulating yourself against economic turmoil and the unknown. And so there's ways that we're doing that by making it more affordable. We're looking at competency-based education models, which are really the future of adult education in this country. When I talk about competency-based, there are so many colleges and universities in this country, and they all, or a lot of them, most of them, offer online programs. So we're somewhat late to that market space. It's not that we weren't in it, but it wasn't a priority of our mission.
Okay.
And so as we're developing that, that offering, our differentiator for that is going to become competency-based education. Now, what that means is, say when you were right out of high school, if you went to college, you had a struggling experience your first semester or year, you got some college credits, but it wasn't for you, and you took a different career path.
Hmm.
Well, your career has evolved. You have an opportunity to advance, but you need a college degree. And so what we want to do is we want to be able to quantify that lived and work experience and see how that transfers into competencies. And then you're able to get college credit for the work you've done that is really, really valuable. And what that's going to do is it's going to accelerate your degree path, and it's going to make it more affordable because you're going to be in for less time. That's going to be really, really impactful for those 40 million adult Americans with some college credits and no degree, so that they're able to really do that. Now, in terms of disruption, the 2023-2024 cycle for higher education has been unique. This past year, the Department of Education simplified the FAFSA.
Oh,
And
boy.
exactly. And, look, the intent was good. They wanted to make it easier for families to complete. They wanted to make it easier for colleges and universities to receive that information and to be able to award students faster. But what happened was delay in launching the tools, some functionality issues. When it became available, it got overloaded, and then delays in getting that information back to colleges and universities. And what that meant was the entire timeline for colleges and universities, for families, for the traditional undergraduate student was completely thrown off. And so there are millions of Americans and thousands in the state of Missouri who, seniors in high school who typically would have submitted their FAFSA in the fall
Mhm.
or early spring who haven't. And so, that's really impacted all colleges and universities around the country. And it's something that we haven't been immune to. And so
Yeah.
we've taken some pretty proactive measures to address that. We're really looking at how, it's changed our forecast a little bit for the fall. So we're looking at our operating costs and doing what we can to get those down. We have launched, we're continuing to engage our funnel much later in the season than we typically do at this stage.
Okay.
And we've launched a really targeted market saturation campaign in what we call our hyper local area. We know that a large portion of our students come from within driving distance.
Okay.
And we want to make sure that they're considering Lindenwood as that hyper local, affordable, and life-changing option. So we're doing that with a 10-week saturation campaign, 24 billboards, really heavy broad channel video and streaming video, and a paid social digital element as well to really drive that message home. And we've really simplified that message to be about locality, affordability, and transformation.
Okay. That's awesome. Yeah. Sounds like you wrapped your arms around the issue pretty well, and tackling it from different angles, and using different strategies, which it all sounds really solid. I'm just curious, where do you see things playing out long term in the EDU space? Is it going to get easier, more difficult for students to get a good quality education? What if you were to look 5 years out? How does it look different than how it looks today?
That's the magic question, isn't it? So colleges and universities that are relying on history and the traditional model for the next 5 years or beyond are going to continue to struggle.
Yeah.
That perceived value of higher education is going to continue to change. People are worried about carrying burdensome student loan debt. And so colleges and universities have to get much more flexible. They have to get more affordable, and they have to make sure that the programs they're offering are rooted in market demand. And so you think about the advent of artificial intelligence, and it's not just going to change higher education. It's going to fundamentally change the workforce.
Right.
We don't know in what ways AI is going to change the workforce in the next 5 years, but we do know that it's going to be foundational. And so for colleges and universities that have traditionally had programs that are preparing you for the workforce, it is a challenge to align programs that are going to reflect what's needed in the workforce that is going to be impacted by AI. So, our faculty are really engaging in that. We're launching several AI-centered programs, and we're just making sure that we're always looking at our programs and optimizing them to make sure that they're rooted in the changing landscape of the marketplace. I do think that for students, for a long time, calling a student in college a customer, it's a dirty word in higher ed. I remember I was speaking to a group outside the university of college faculty, and I called them student consumers. And one individual about jumped out of their chair and came up on stage to get me. But really, it's not a dirty word. What that means is we are aligning every resource we have to give you the best experience possible. You're paying a lot of money. Your family's paying a lot of money. You might be taking on significant amount of debt. You deserve a white glove experience, whether you're going to a community college, a public or state school, a private university, at any scope. You deserve to have that experience. And so what that means is the student has a significant amount of leverage. For the first time, you're really able to not, I wouldn't say negotiate your tuition, but the student consumer has more leverage now than at any time that I can recall.
Okay. Yeah. Just because demand is lower.
It is. Colleges and universities are having to compete in ways that they never have before.
Yeah.
And so
Makes sense.
St. Louis is a dense higher education market. We have wonderful colleges and universities in St. Louis. for wherever you're at and your stage of your life, your career, your educational journey. And so we have to get really good at articulating our value, our differentiators, and our place in that ecosystem.
Yep, absolutely. So I saw an interview you gave to Switch's Advice, which covered the disrupted state of higher education, how marketers should be data driven and proactive in their pursuit of brand development, creating brand affinity, and driving a high volume of quality leads. Can you talk to me a little bit about how you or Lindenwood as a whole have used data to make your marketing more effective at driving the pool of potential students?
Yeah, absolutely. Candidly, this wasn't an area that we were, really, really strong at until about 2020, 2021. We made a lot of changes to our marketing strategy. Um, we just didn't have a lot of strong data. We didn't have control over our own data, really. We didn't have a lot of visibility. We certainly had no market data in terms of how we were perceived, what our awareness looked like. So that's where we started. We started by understanding our own historical data, but also
Okay.
we launched a brand perception study and a brand awareness study. And what we found is that even though we've been here for almost 200 years, people don't just know who we are. And look, Lindenwood grew really, really quickly between the 1990s and the mid 2000s,
Okay.
both in terms of our student population and the footprint of our campus. We built a ton of new facilities, and so our growth outpaced perception. And
Okay.
so we knew we needed a brand awareness campaign. Lindenwood had never launched an integrated campaign like that at that scope before. And so we worked with a local experiential agency, Switch, and we decided to lead with this idea of rethinking Lindenwood University because we knew that there were these misconceptions and misperceptions about who we were. And so that was really, really impactful for us. We saw increases in web traffic, we saw increases in applications, we saw increases in enrollment. And the campaign was really well received and something that we were really, really proud of. In early 2022, we expanded our scope beyond community engagement and brand awareness and brand affinity to really engage in lead generation for the first time.
Okay.
Higher education is an interesting industry. Every university is set up kind of differently in terms of marketing and admissions. For the uninitiated, admissions is sales. And so we were disconnected from that. They were in a separate division. Our focus was brand awareness, community engagement. And so we realigned our marketing mission. We didn't jettison the brand awareness piece, but we married it to what we were doing with our lead generation strategies. So we evaluated our partnerships. We made sure we had the right agency partners supporting us. We invested in new campaigns and new creative and new messaging that reflected what we learned from the brand perception study. And we really took control of our data. For the first time, we could really visualize our cost per acquisition, essentially our cost per start or enrollment. And we were able to use that for long range forecasting, for budgeting. We knew how much it generally cost us to recruit a student, whether they were a traditional student or an online student, to the university. And that really fundamentally changed our lead generation and nurturing strategy. And so, we stopped just looking at, broad channel awareness metrics like impressions and reach, and really were able to start looking at conversions and cost per inquiry and cost per application, cost per start. And that data-driven approach has really driven a lot of our success. I mentioned those 2 years of growth, but really Lindenwood University Online, which has grown 58% year over year, May 2023 to May 2024.
That's great. That's awesome. Yeah. So I was going to ask you, you mentioned using outside agencies. You
Yeah.
also talked earlier about, it sounds like you have a pretty solid in-house group. Um, why, when you have gone outside for agencies, why do you turn to agencies for very specific things? What do they bring to the table that I'm sure your team is very competent and skilled, what does an agency bring to the table that you might not be able to get from an in-house group?
Yeah, for sure. Look, for a few different things. For us, we have a little bit of a volume challenge. I've got a team of 9, including myself. We
Okay.
support the entire university system, over 600 staff, hundreds of faculty, over 7,000 students. And so it's a lot of work. And so our
Mhm.
mission is kind of split between driving our business objectives and then serving the rest of the campus community in driving their objectives.
Mhm.
So beyond enrollment, think about advancement, fundraising, gift giving. Think about
Yeah.
community special events, academic affairs, developing internal materials for their use. And so we have a lot of value. But even more important than that, because we could make adjustments there, the benefit that we found of using agency partners is they bring a different level of expertise. They bring a different level of perspective and vision, especially from
Sure.
a creative perspective, that frankly, we wouldn't be able to afford to recreate on our own.
Yeah.
By leveraging so we leverage a few different partners. We leverage a partner for media buying on the brand side. We
Okay.
leverage a creative partner to help us ideate and bring our brand campaigns to life. Um, Higher education marketing is somewhat specific, and there's pretty nuanced differences between how you recruit a traditional undergraduate student or graduate student
Mhm.
and how you recruit an online learner. And so we have individual partners that help us activate that. I do want to give them both shout outs because they're fantastic. And so on the undergraduate side, we partner with a group called EAB, and they're out of Richmond, Washington, D.C. area, and they serve thousands of institutions across the country. And they are there's no one better in that traditional recruitment space. And they do non-traditional adult learning as well. We just activate them for our traditional undergraduate. And then for our online partnership, we leverage education dynamics. That's really their strength. Their wheelhouse is adult learners in the online space. And so by leveraging these folks, my department of 8 or 9 goes
Mhm.
to 30, 35 very quickly. And you've got
Yeah.
data analysts, you've got creative experts, you've got photographers and videographers, you've got any tool or lever that you want to pull at your disposal. And look, it's an investment,
Sure.
but it's an investment that we have seen really work for us.
Yeah.
The labor challenge is real, and recruiting talent is a challenge for all organizations, higher
Right.
education and beyond. And
Yeah.
so, being able to leverage those agency partnerships has been transformative for our marketing mission.
Yeah. That's great. What do you think has been key to a successful relationship with these two agencies?
Well, that is the key, isn't it? Relationship. Um, I have seen other partnerships fail because it's transactional, and
Yeah.
it can't be. Um, you know, this is a people business. Higher ed and beyond, marketing is a people business. It's understanding people. It's understanding each other. It's communicating a clear message to each other to evoke a response. And so that's what it starts with. It starts with building a relationship, and building a relationship takes trust and time. And so I think that has been what has been really successful. They're also really responsive partners. Look, we've talked about how higher education is very disrupted.
Hmm.
And that means that our strategy evolves. And sometimes it can evolve very quickly, which means we need a partner that is proactively reactive, preparing for the unexpected.
Right.
And both of those groups and all the partners we work with uh, fit that bill really, really well.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, definitely. I mean, on the agency search side, when marketers come to us looking for a new agency, uh, you know, big reason why they look is they feel like their agency just isn't keeping them ahead of the curve. They're the ones bringing all the ideas to the agency, asking them for their opinion, and it's never the other way around. And that's a challenge. Marketers. I mean, you've talked about it here today. You guys are being asked to do a lot you know, without sort of all of the resources you'd love to have. So it's the last thing you need is an agency that you have to babysit and make sure they're doing their job.
Yeah,
So I've
absolutely.
got two last questions
Yeah,
for
please.
you. Uh, Speaking of marketers and agencies, any advice you give to a marketer can be in the EDU space or any space, thinking about bringing a new agency on board. Any advice you'd give them?
Yeah, for those marketers, be honest and transparent from the very beginning. We talked about some partnerships that are transactional and some that are a true relationship, a partnership. I hate the word vendor and client. Um, it gets you in that transactional mindset. And so if you're honest and transparent from the beginning, you're going to have that trust. You'll be able to build that relationship, and your agency partner is going to do better work.
Hmm.
Give them what they need to be successful. They are there. You chose them. You chose them for a reason. And so give them the data they need, give them the resources they need, and the support they need to be successful. But
Hmm.
also give them a little bit of freedom, some freedom to take risks. That's what we did with our partners at Switch for our Rethink campaign. We
Okay.
took risks. We did
Yeah.
stuff that higher education doesn't typically do. We looked at what the insurance agency had done. Insurance is a big deal. It's expensive. You're talking about life and death. You're talking about protecting
Right.
your home, your family. But look how many insurance advertisements are hilarious. They lead with humor about an important topic. That was something we wanted to try to reflect because no one in higher education was really doing that,
Yeah.
and so we led with humor. And now look, it wasn't an uphill battle, but we were challenged internally on that, and so
Yeah.
we really had to sell that internally before we could bring it to market. And
Yeah.
our agency partners were huge in helping us do that because it was rooted in data. It was rooted in the research we had done, and it was helping us realize what we needed to do to make an impact. So
Yeah.
I think that that's just huge. And then the last thing I would recommend to marketers who are thinking about bringing someone new on board is just be nice. you know, um, just be nice to your partners. That they're there to
Yeah.
support you, and
Right.
that's also a big part of relationship building.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. So my last question is, if an agency was trying to knock down your door and attempting to win business from you, what advice would you give that agency?
Keep it simple. Um, we if you think about it, look, no one likes RFPs. The client doesn't like doing them, and I just use the client word. The organization, your organization doesn't like doing them, and the potential partner doesn't like doing them.
Sure.
They are burdensome. They cost a lot of money to do, and there's no guarantee you're going to get the business.
Sure.
Um, so and the organization might be looking at 5 to 10 different RFP responses.
Yeah.
So if you
Yeah.
come to us with a 100-page deck that is really, really heavy, um, we're going to struggle to read that because if we're looking at 10 different partners, it's just a lot. We likely don't have a ton of time. And so
Yeah.
just keep it as simple as possible. Provide those resources, but provide them in a way that isn't overwhelming so
Yeah.
that you're really driving home exactly what you need to do that's rooted in our goals and objectives. And that's really the key. Make sure that the recommendation you're building, the proposal you're making is rooted in our goals and objectives. Take the time to get to know us, to look at the business case, to look at our market and look at our industry, whether it's higher education or any industry,
Yeah.
and include that in your recommendation.
Right.
I'd also say don't try to oversell or cross sell services. Um, that's going to happen naturally if it's rooted in the business case. And I'll give you an example. So for our adult online mission, we have a wonderful agency partner that has tons of different levers that we can pull to activate. They didn't just throw all of those at us at the start. We really took a foundational approach. We prioritized what we needed, got to market, and then as our goals and objectives evolved, we knew speed to lead is hypercritical in any industry, but especially for higher education. Our speed to lead for an inquiry was maybe 24 hours or so, and that's not going to cut it. And so they presented to us a solution of using a contact center to help us improve a lead qualification center to help us improve that speed to lead to within 60 seconds.
Oh, wow.
And that was huge. And so that was, a cross sell or an upsell that really made sense for us, and something that we, continue to leverage, for the last few years. And so everyone knows that that's part of the business, and that's an important part of the business, whether it's creative services, research services, and everyone wants that and expects it. Just root it in the business case, and I think that you'll have a lot more success. And then the last thing I'll add: approach us as a partner and not a replacement. We get contacted a lot. And yes, we're very happy with our agency partnerships, but we keep an open mind. And so, we get some that approach us as, hey, you guys are doing a great job. Here are the things that we've seen, but we've identified these gaps, and we think that we can really help you resolve those gaps. And here's how. That really speaks to us.
Right.
We also get some that come to us and say, you guys are really, failing in all of these areas. And, they strike a really pessimistic tone, or they go to a senior leader and, try to imply that the internal team maybe is underperforming or isn't up to the task or is delinquent. And look, constructive criticism is important. It's an important part of the process. It's an important part of strategy. And
that's not a good way to start a relationship.
Not really. It is an important part of the process, but an introduction probably isn't the best approach to do. So I would just say approach as a partner, not a replacement. A solution, not a new problem.
Right. Yeah, no, great advice on both sides. I think it's fantastic, and yeah, definitely agencies don't take the time to think about who they're reaching out to, and the partnership piece of this. Your advice on being nice and just some basic stuff that goes a long way, and
it does,
and creating solid partnerships. So it's been great, Peter. I really appreciate you taking the time today, out of your busy Friday schedule, and sharing, what you shared about Lindenwood University. It sounds like a great place. Sounds like you guys are doing some great things, and you've weathered some storms. It sounds pretty well, and put yourself in a place that I think, in terms of the strength of the university and the targeting and marketing strategies you're using, seems like you're setting yourself up pretty well long term, which is fantastic. So thanks again, and I wish you nothing but the best moving forward.
Well, thank you, Mark. It's been my pleasure. I appreciate you inviting me to talk today.
All right, you have a good weekend.
Yeah, the same to you.
Thanks, Peter. Yep, take care.
Thank you.